Okay, so trying to get the body that last little bit down. I've just notched out this bulkhead a little bit, essentially just to drop this bonnet sort of recess down and get the body nicely close to the strut tops. This isn't all the way down. I've still got to replace the brake reservoir. Obviously it's just sitting on top of it there on that side. Yeah, so I've been shopping, and what has arrived is this Honda master cylinder. So you can see it's got this little adapter that sits on top, and then the remote reservoir, I think, so I can fit that further back on the bulkhead, a suitable position. And also for the steering, so this is the lower section of the eye shaft. I've decided against making up a printed bushing. So it's 30mm spherical joints. This is 29mm. I randomly came across these things. So these are for bike saddle posts to shim different sizes. So this is the 3D printed bit that'll go on the bulkhead with some cutouts for captive nuts. So bearing in there, this will slide all the way in. This recess inside there is where this rubber boot will clip into. UJ onto this end once it's assembled and poking through the bulkhead. And then I will print up a separate sort of cup clamp that will clamp that down through those holes and into the captive nuts. So I think that should work quite well and give a nice solid location, and then I really don't have to worry about the steering column. Bit of assembly later, and there we go. So that is really nice and snug. Yeah, just got to design a cup so the firewall will sit there. There was only a very small misalignment, so this bearing will be more than up to the job. So a little cup to clamp it in place. I actually applied a bit of heat to the nuts and sort of pushed them in on the backside because they're a bit tight, but they sort of formed their way in there. So that's nice. So pretty happy with that. Okay, so there we have the Honda little master cylinder reservoir. So the Honda actually uses a threaded pin that goes from the other side. So I drilled this one out to the 5mm. It was only about 1/2mm, too small. Annoyingly, the connectors they use for the brake fluid warning are different. I'm guessing the logic's the same, so I did specifically choose one on eBay that had a bit of wire and the connector on it. So I'll move that, well, I'll get some longer pipe. It measures 11mm, and probably mount it over here. There is a surprising amount of crown in the bonnet, so I'll be able to mount that higher and obviously further inboard. So I'll make up a little bracket. So yeah. Right, let's lower the body and see how it clears. And we're down. So that's touching the strut tower there. And it is tight, but I think I can make that work. This side's not actually all the way down now, so I must be touching somewhere else. So I might end up having to lift that up a little bit anyway. So yeah. Okay, here's my messy workshop. but here's the finished column. So extension, nice big chunky UJ. This is the assembly with the spherical joint, so this becomes the bulkhead sort of bearing position, and obviously down to the rack. It's an electric I think belt drive steering rack, so the torques in the column are actually less than usual. But yeah, let's shorten some of these. But time for a test fit, get it all in position. Nice. There's that saddle sleeve nicely going through the bearing, and I've had it loose, well, sort of mucked up in just with a couple of bolts, and it was nice and sturdy. So let's get it in, and it's in. So yeah, so you can see that little extension for the boot and for the spherical bearing. And then come over to the UJ and spherical bearing, all clamped up nicely. And the column, see that with the light? That's all fully constrained. I think for the adjustment, for the electric adjustment, it's an extra sliding section in here. I've kept the original sliding section in the lowest bit down to the rack for usual crash. But yeah, that, don't know if you can tell, no slack at all. Lovely. Yeah, I've just been having a look to see if I can get the seat base any lower, but actually the mods I've done already, if I put some weight on there, I'm practically touching the floor. So that is as low as I can get. But roof clearance wise, this is actually surprisingly high. It comes above my shoulders. You can pull the headrest out, it is separate. But the back falls off, hence the gaffer tape on the top. So, I don't know, maybe in a different colour they'd look okay. Maybe you could lower the height a little bit more like the TSK guys did. Yeah, problem for another day. Another bit of luck, the steering wheel harness here, you see I've unravelled it and it all goes over to the left, so nice and easy. I'll just rewrap that. I might free a little bit more, don't know why it goes forwards around here. I can pull that back, just make it direct back to the column. Yeah, I wasn't looking forward to extending that little bunch of wires. Yeah, don't need to, so that's all good. I've also just temporarily re-drilled and tapped this crossbar 30mm across to try the seat out, and I have to make up some rear mounts so I'm not sitting on the battery cover. Okay, just doing a little bit of clearance checking. There goes the torch. So you can see this, I don't know if you can see on the camera, but there is reasonable curvature at the bonnet. I think the side profiles are a little bit different. This side seems to be a bit flatter, so I'll probably end up with somewhere halfway in between. But as you can see there, I think it's only the HVAC intake that needs dropping. There's actually quite a decent amount of clearance above the VC. So that box of tricks there, with you can see the round mounting point sticking up. I thought I was going to have to lower that unit. Someone identified it as the vehicle controller. So yes, that's good news. So I'll probably try and reuse the original mount that also has the earth bracket on. Happy with that. Just use this section of the original earth point here and the VC top mount, and it's just plug welded into this top channel. I'll probably end up having a flat or more or less flat sheet attached to that channel anyway. So I wanted to keep it nice and low profile. But yeah, next job. Okay, after doing extra measuring from the seat position, I'm moving the pedals back. So pedal box out. Should be a simple job of just making an extension from these four and an extra brace at the bottom. See there, so you got your four and your bottom brace, but this frame needs to go, so I'm just going to cut this triangulated bit out. It's only used for the front mount now. I'll have the extra cross beam for the relocated steering column, so I'll be able to build strength back in. Okay, so take one. So that's just a basic tube with a mounting flange either side. They've ended up too low. Not a surprise because the bulkhead's angled, but well, the end to end on the flange, it's dropped 40 mil. So I think I'm going to have to angle each end of the flange and probably bring it back just a touch, just to clear the crossbar. But shouldn't be too bad a job really. The main thing is trying to figure out how the push rod into the eye booster pops out so I can extend it. But yeah. Okay, take two of the extension tube. So I did it straight, and obviously it's coming down at an angle. It was too low, and it was hitting, well, it was ending up below this crossbar. So what I've done is I've kind of split the difference. Putting it horizontal would be right at the edge of the sort of the movement of the push rod. So I sort of went about halfway. So it's about 8 degrees, and it shortened it obviously because I've chopped the end of the tube off. But actually it's probably worked out better. So yeah, overall it's about 6 inches further back from the bulkhead. So what are we? So I called it 150 mil for the pedals, and that about 220 for the steering, with it all lower down and your legs straight out. That kind of feels about right. My legs are long anyway compared to my body. So okay, here's that lower brace tacked together. I've just taken it all out, it's all good. And the other thing I haven't really seen a lot of information about, but the clevis does actually unscrew from the eye booster. There are some 7mm flats on the rod, and then my understanding is that that's an M8. So I'll just make an extension to suit, and that should be job done for pedals. Okay, really happy with that. So that's the push rod in. I just used some 8mm hex bar to extend the push rod. And that's, well, looks fine. What I will probably look at some point in the future, sorry about the focus of the light, there's a little bit of movement, but I've heard that's a thing on Model 3s anyway. So I might try and make up a brace somehow between the this crossbar and the end of the pedal box. Oh, I did have to chop the top off this crash piece. And unfortunately my heels land exactly on this crossbar on the floor. But considering this one's right here, it's kind of a bit redundant, well, not redundant, but I can afford to lose it. So I'm going to chop out that section just on the driver's side and cap it. Be a bit fiddly, but it'll be worth it. And that's that cross beam out the way, almost. Gone. That'll be much better. I don't think I'll bother with the other side, I'll just flatten it off with some floor insulation or something. But I think I'll call it there for this week. I think the next job is going to be making up the mounts, well, the rear seat mounts. Yeah. Well, that's some horrible work doing all that grinding. Just thought I'd leave it to say that I've ordered the air suspension, so that should be another couple of weeks. It's a bespoke kit from a company called On Air. It's bespoke for the Model 3, so all I'll have to do is tweak the airlines. I am hoping to fit it in a better place. Normally they have it mounted in here in the sort of, well, not the wheel well, but the subfloor area. But I want to extend that to have a nice low full-size spare. But we'll see. The other thing I've ordered is all the, well, the majority of the chrome work. So the bumpers, grille, side trim, and then I guess the other, well, one of the other next big ticket items will be the glass, just to make sure all the apertures are good. And then I'll start on the cage and things, I guess. Right, I'll see you next week. Just a quick final one. So there's the extension, pedals in situ. Now just tidied up the floor where it's cut.